Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. Have a great show for you today and a lot to unpack. We're going to talk a little bit about Janet Yellen, going to be the next Treasury Secretary, so that's pretty cool. Combination with her and Powell at the helm of the Federal Reserve and staying in position through the transition, which is the expectation. Pretty exciting news as far as stability to the financial industry. So, how does the market react? It screams higher. It screamed higher yesterday, and it's already doing so again this morning. Specifically for our topic of the day, we're going to talk about investing in chip makers, a traditional kind of artificial intelligence slash work from home slash computers taken over kind of theme that really haven't been talking about, because right now in the news, it's all about the EV craze and all of the names that are screaming higher, like Blink and Plug and the Tesla and all those things are bouncing off new highs. So we're going to take a break from that and talk about kind of the components to go inside stuff like that today. All right. If you were joining us on replay, you can go ahead and subscribe to make sure you get notifications on a daily basis. And if you would like to join us live, it's only $25 a month to stop on in the room. What you don't see is a chat room as well as a Q&A window for us to be able to converse with each other. With that, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back, everyone. Make sure you have your windows open and your call sign in there as well, and make sure you have all attendees selected so everybody can hear when you chat something out to everybody. And yes, good morning to the Predator there. All right. Standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before you act on anything you hear that me talk about today. And with that, let's go ahead and get started on today, Tuesday, November 24th. Seems like a long week already. So yesterday was a straight up day in the market. Today's kind of setting up for another straight up day in the market. We'll see if that lasts, but certainly there's a lot of good news that's out there for everybody. So a lot of money being made. So mission objectives today, we're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Our specific topic is kind of returning back to technology, things that have been kind of out of favor. If you look yesterday, it was all the EV names. I mean, Neo, Lee, XPEV, which is Xpeng Motors, the Tesla hitting new highs, Blink, Plug, all of the names we've been talking about for months. I actually hopped in and did some selling yesterday. I'm going to do some more selling today. Palantir is another name that's a straight double from the direct listing from not too long ago. So yeah, it's time to take some profits. It is the prudent thing to do in the face of everything looks like it's going to just scream higher forever, right? We're now up significantly since the election, and we didn't really expect to be here. So take it with a grain of salt. And kind of go back to some traditional themes. Like Apple was off like almost 3% yesterday. So that's obviously kind of crazy that Apple's selling off. People are leaving Apple to get into the EV names. But we're going to talk about chip makers, going back to basics, things like Micron or Ambarella, if you remember that name from way back. It was all I talked about like 6 years ago when GoPro was all the craze. Well, Ambarella was the chip maker that went into all the GoPros. So it's like if you missed out on GoPro, taking a 10x move, you just peel that back, take the derivative. For those that are still doing math class, which a few of you in the room are, derivatives for a reason, right? So you can't take the primary, you take the derivative investment in that case. And we'll talk about both of those today. Our question of the day is going to be, what are the moving averages? We'll talk about what they are, as well as how do they really apply to investing. All right, as far as our flow, it'll be long, short, open, short, long. What that means, we're going to do a market review, headline review, look at some long-term investments. I did not put those in there correctly, so you'll have to wait and see once we get there. But I can tell you that it's Umbrella, Micron, Nvidia, Intel, AMD, and then an index fund called Robot, ROBT, which is AI index fund, which I'm starting to pile into. So that's a name you might see pop up in your portfolio. We'll execute the market open with our day trading stuff. Again, 2 days in a row, we've had shorts that worked. We had Macy's on last week, and then we had JFrog yesterday, worked fairly quickly, about a 6-minute trade. I have one thing going short today, but everything else is screaming higher, and a lot of that's just straight optimism, not even off of earnings. So I do have 3 names for you. They're in the chat: NIU, iBio, long, and DY short. If you have any contingencies out there, reach out to me through Steve at OTOT.now. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our market overall. And here, excuse me, is TD Ameritrade's platform. Go with the 1-year look at the S&P 500 from left to right. Again, that's the SPY, which is what's up here is the ticker for the 500 stocks in the S&P 500. You can see some of the trend lines that are on the actual chart here. These are not moving averages. I will show you moving averages on FinViz. These are just artificial AI-induced trend lines. So we're in a big move up all the way into some congestion prior to the election. Now that the election is over, in quotes, right? There's still, I guess, a chance through all of Trump's efforts, but the market has certainly accepted it as over, and so have I. Now we're getting ready to bounce off of new highs again, in pretty much across the board. So up significantly. I saw a headline that the Qs, which is the Nasdaq's up over 30% this year. So if you had done nothing, you'd be up 30%. If you're a little more active, you're up even higher than that in the tech names. So when you ask how can Apple be selling off, it's like, well, it's been up a lot this year. Don't know specifically, but a lot. Okay, here's our 5-day move. Here you can see we're pretty much in a straight line, kind of flattish till we got the announcement yesterday of Janet Yellen and kind of new optimism with a third company with a vaccine that's going to be viable. And then, shooting up from there. But you will notice a little bit of a negative trend this morning, some profit taking going into the open. So we'll see how that works. All right, as far as our charts, here's our day trading charts. Again, NIU long, iBio long, and DY short. We'll get back to those here in a minute. Okay, over to headlines. Sharing out to you. CNBC is what we're taking a look at here. Get back to the top. Let me hit refresh real quick. Okay, there you can see Dow's up over 1% and NASDAQ only up 0.4. So again, this is kind of the non-tech rotation, if you will. Things like airlines are up, cruise lines are up. Again, all these are optimism off of the vaccine that's out there, that the vaccine is going to win out over the second wave. We shall see. All right, let's take a look at Europe, up across the board, percent across the board, so pretty aggressive over there. Again, they're coming out of lockdown in London, I think December 2nd or December 4th, one of the two. So kind of getting closer to that, the end of the lockdown. And then, of course, the governments over there have said that will be the only lockdown that they're going to have. Again, we shall see. And we're not doing lockdowns over here, but you see new case records almost every day. All right, Asia, everything in the green except for China, a little bit in the red. Here's our numbers from yesterday. Bonds creeping up a little bit. Oil, pretty much very healthy, almost $4 into the 40 to 60 range, so that's good. Precious metals selling off as predicted. And then lastly, Bitcoin continues to rage higher. I mean, look at that 5.5% move. Everybody's talking about it now. So that's one of the kind of, I won't call it necessarily a Robinhood name, but it's one of those things, the fear of missing out. So when you see stocks screaming higher, a lot of people will wait till they move pretty high and then they buy in. Again, I owe you more on this, but don't expect me to say go out and buy it when it's closing in on 20,000. It's been over 20,000 before, right? Okay, let's take a look at some headlines. Yep, we finally have the transition underway. Several cabinet members have been named, but of course, most importantly, the financial markets are the Treasury Secretary and the Federal Reserve, of course. So, of course, Janet Yellen, steady name, first female. I mean, it's not about the gender, but first female that was the head of the Federal Reserve. Now, first female head of the Treasury, but doesn't matter, right? Steady hand, a lot of connections, very calm and collected in her time at the Federal Reserve. So really pretty trusted name coming back into government after being 4 years out due to Trump. So understands the economy, not really a politician. So a lot of things to like here, and that's what you're seeing out of the market. Okay, yep, Elon Musk, Tesla stock screaming higher, so he's number 2 in the world. He's even said that he was, I think, I don't know, 2 years ago on the brink of bankruptcy if Tesla didn't turn it around, which is kind of scary. And now he's, the stock has been obviously insane. Yeah, to second, almost bankrupt, the second richest person in the world. That's kind of crazy. Okay. What else? Yeah, Square, PayPal, whales into crypto. A lot of the cryptos are being bought up. It's not just Bitcoin. There's Ethereum. There's a million of them out there, to be honest. All of them are on a tear right now, as some of the more legitimate or more accepting type of big names out there are piling into these with their extra cash. We shall see. That could also be a house of cards when it comes screaming back to the downside. All right, home prices on the way up. Let's see. Yep, nobody's touching commodities. Yes, average market gain next year. Yeah, that's a nothing headline, right? That's what they would say every year. If you don't have anything to say it'll be the average. Certainly, if we continue up another 5%, that is setting up 2021 to be a down year in the market. There is no doubt about it. But you won't find people saying that. And I'm not sure I would say it on CNBC either, to be honest. But it's the truth. I'll say it to you guys. All right. Kramer last night on his show went through a whole bunch of vaccine winning names. That's more of a value play right now. I wouldn't necessarily do that myself, and that's why you don't see me pushing those. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our theme of the day. Again, investing in chip stocks. Kind of your bigger names, your Micron, Intel. Intel's been crushed lately. We'll look at that on the next chart. But while we have Ambarella, excuse me, again, hit big in March, not uncommon, but kind of left for dead for a little while, and then has recently caught fire again today. So when you look at names out there to buy, names that aren't bouncing off new highs are a little more attractive. Again, returning to profitability next quarter is what you're seeing down here in this third column, which means it's going to go from not having a PE to a sky high PE to a normalized PE up there. So you look at a PE of 157 for Ambarella, and then you look at Intel, with the PE of forward PE of 9, right? So kind of crazy how cheap Intel is here. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Schwab Street Smart Edge, and I will show you all of these that I'm talking about this morning. Okay, let's put Ambarella up here, AMBA. Have Ambarella. That we already talked about. We have Micron bouncing off of new highs already, so a lot of love flowing back into Micron. Nvidia is another name that's absolutely loved. It's in every AI ETF that's out there. So do I hold it individually? No, I do not. I don't like the price point up at 500, but you certainly can. Intel, is it time to buy? Intel's in this huge downturn from almost 70 down to 45. PE at 10, I just showed you. It's tough. It's almost like Intel's the new IBM. It's really left for dead in like old tech, which is tough. AMD is on fire, though. You can see it's in a big uptrend. And then, of course, the one I want to talk to you about is ROBT. Again, it's an AI ETF that's out there. You're going to see this popping up if you haven't already noticed. I bought it for a lot of people yesterday. Yeah, bouncing off of new highs. But it's got every theme out there that's kind of pointed towards the future with AI. So a lot to like. Okay, as far as switching gears to our day trading stuff, I want to go ahead and, again, long. The first one to take a look at is NIU. So Nvidia Technology, I am not familiar with this term. It has this firm, lots of volume, 535, it's gapping up from 32.48 to 34.40. So it's kind of in this range. Why I like it here over everything else that's gapping up is the price target got raised to 36. You can see that down here at the lower left. Another one up to 38. So I like that. And it was just there. So I think there's a lot to like for the upside. Not an earnings trade, which I prefer, but a lot to like here. So that's what we're going to look at as our primary. If you want to be a little more aggressive, okay, put that in the quotes, a lot more aggressive, you can get into iBio. Now look how hard this thing sold off. It's a smaller price point, so you can buy like a literal ton of it, meaning 2,000 shares, right? It's down here at 147. Previous close 147. It's currently at 150. A ton of volume. You're looking at a 5-cent stop if you get into this thing. Just you have to set that lower stop, because if this moves a nickel, there, that's your entire R right there. So looking at iBio long as well, and then our short. Not a whole lot of stuff moving short today, but it's DY. Again, I'm not familiar with the Dicom Industries per se. Low volume, so we have to wait for the volume to come in, but it's at 78, gapping down to 73 off of earnings. So again, we got to wait for the volume to come in on this one. But I do like where it's positioned and where it's gapping to, and that's why I picked this over others out there, even without the volume, is it does have a lot of room to the run to the downside. Okay, those are the choices for this morning. Let's take those and put them up over here. I need a second to get caught up on my own screen and get ready, and we'll review the trades. All right, I'm ready to go. So we have the SPY on the left here. We'll get zoomed in a little bit. NIU, you can kind of see where that, we'll see where it opens. Again, it was already up at 35. We need maybe a 35-cent stop here, maybe more to kind of cover that low of the day. We'll see how much it flops around. Same thing with iBio. We'll take a look in here. I was going to draw my arrows early before the market opened, because it's a lot easier to draw now, but maybe it's not going to let me draw it either. Nope. Come on, arrow. All right, just got to get rid of that. All right, zooming in. All right, 30 seconds to open. Welcome to the On Time On Target to play of the day. We have 3 trades for you today. First of all, on the left-hand screen, we have the SPY, which is the S&P 500, waiting for the market open there. You'll hear the bell in a second. We have NIU, which is long. So we'll zoom in a little bit there to capture that move. We're looking, there is your opening bell. And then we're looking at DY short. We have to wait for the volume to come in. Don't see a whole lot of volume so far. So we're going to look at that short. It does not appear to be open yet. My favorite is NIU here. And if you want to get more aggressive, you can get down to the iBio with pretty much a 5-cent stop. So overall, the market's up almost 1% and looks pretty strong going into the open. All right, NIU, 35 down there. There's kind of our entry point. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. 35 would be 30. Kind of want to make sure this bar holds right here before we go into it. You're probably staring at this, so am I, right? This with the 5-cent stop down to 145 looks pretty attractive. Zoom out to see where it was. That was what, 3 hours ago. It was down here. Just being patient. You see the red stripe down in the market there. DY is kind of doing nothing to the downside. Let me put a backup in there. BBBY, Best Buy. It's down. We'll keep an eye on that. All right. I'm not going to take NIU. I'm going to take the iBio trade. Let's take it at 150. There it is. So we're taking it 150 with the 5-cent stop. We're going to go all the way down to 145 to give this thing some room. If you haven't taken it yet, you can take it. Get my fill in here. All right, see what I got. This is a long, again, get in at 150 and with the short, with a lower boundary of 145. So get our arrow in here. So every 5 cents is an R unit. So holding out for 165. So our first R is right here, and it was just there not too long ago. And then 160 and 165 is what we're holding out for here. You'll notice longs don't move as fast as shorts, but we are in this trade, and I do like it. I would like to see the market reverse back here in the green. That would be nice. Let's see what we have going on in a short for Best Buy. They just had earnings. That's what you're seeing down here. And they already had the earnings call this morning, and obviously selling off down into that 5%. So let's look around for some other shorts. Make sure you have your stop in here when this breaks out of this, whether it breaks below 149 or above 151, it could move pretty quick. Obviously the market's working against us there, so just be ready and have that set up. Make sure I have my exit set up here. All right. So if you have a lot of this, just remember that's why you need to get out of it. If it does run up to the 165 level, this is one I may hold for the rest of the day. We shall see. I would sell 2/3 since I have so many shares, or even sell 80% of shares and hold the rest a little bit. So that's what we have going in for our long. Let's take a look at, don't like the BBY short. So let's take a look at some other options. If the market continues to go red here, not red, but at least less green, if you will. GSM, that's gapping up now, so that's not working. BURL, Burlington Stores, that's actually back in the green. Look how far it was down. It was down at 220. Now it's up at 231. All right, Zoom was selling off earlier. High price point, but moving down. Couple of percent there. Blink, BLNK, which has been on absolute fire. Okay, look at that. So there's no headline with this other than the fact that it's profit taking, and Kramer's been screaming all morning about profit taking, so I'm sure a lot of people are selling this name. I could see this turnaround and going right back to 31 though. So wouldn't really turn around and necessarily short it unless you get into a big profit taking thing across the board. So, all right, let's look at our trade. We're in the red on our trade a little bit, not too worried about it. Just remember, if it hits that 145, you have to be out. This would have worked long for NIU, so that's on me for picking the wrong trade here, as this one screams higher. Again, we were talking about getting in at 35, 35.10 with the 35-cent stop. That would have been 36.15, so they're almost to that almost to the 3R point there on that trade. Had we taken it, we did not. Okay. Market's going red. Let's look at some other names that were on fire long. Let's see. AMBA was the chip maker we were talking about. Ooh, that would have worked long. Taking it around the 72 range, 50-cent stop, you make it easy. Even with the 75-cent stop, you're all the way back out of the trade. So again, that's what got me to look at the chip makers, was Umbrella crushing earnings, but did not take that long. Let's look at Micron since we have it up. Micron selling off a little bit. Intel, since we talked about it. Back down to even. 40-cent move. That's not the end of the world there. And Intel, Nvidia off a little bit. And then the last one is that ROBT. See how it's doing today. So you see this doesn't trade a lot. That's why this looks differently with these dots. But it is up 0.5% there. Okay, let's go ahead and look around the world here. Excuse me. All right, LCA. You know, we need to look at the LCA headlines. I may do a report on it. So this is where LCA has been. It got up to 15, which has not been before. It's almost touching 16 today. So they must be getting close. to changing their ticker to GNOG, which is Golden Nugget Online Gaming. I'll search for some headlines. If you have a second to search, take a look and throw it in the chat, depending on what you find. All right, just checking our trade real quick. Get this thing out of the way. Okay, still in the trade, so keep an eye on that. I've got it up on another screen. All right. Actually, let's bring it up to this screen. Yep, that's the wrong one. iBio, there we go. So we can look at it while we're talking. Okay, there our drawing actually came across. So again, holding that 145 level. If it hits it, we are out. All right, Nicola's on fire again. Marijuana names kind of made a comeback. They have not joined the rest of the party as far as the Biden administration themes. So it's good to have them back. PLTR hitting new highs, probably, even though I did take some profits in it yesterday. Coal's another name that's like crude, like Delta Airlines, like Boeing. Those are names that are on a comeback, basically due to the vaccine stocks. Raytheon's another one. Some of the defense names. Realty income, real estate, up almost 2%. So a lot to like here. Here's ITA. We talked about that yesterday for a defense ETF. So that's another name that I like. Okay, let's look at names in the red. That's an option with DraftKings there. BNTX is the BioNTech. They're the Operation Warp Speed. They were the ones that partnered with Pfizer for the first vaccine that was announced. So just some profit taking there. There's Moderna, another vaccine and name as well. AMD, we talked about, chip maker. There's our DraftKings selling off a little bit. If Golden Nugget Online Gaming is about to do its direct listing, then, or ticker change really, because it's a SPAC, then obviously money is going to flow out of DraftKings and into Golden Nugget Online Gaming. There's Micron and Nvidia that we talked about already this morning, QCOM. So a lot of the tech names continuing to sell off, which makes sense with the Dow up 1% and basically NASDAQ almost even on the day. So tech names kind of being left for in favor of value names right now. Okay, let's go back to the trading chart. See here where we are. Again, not the end of the world, but be ready to go by your 145 exit. Okay, let's talk simple moving averages. So I'm going to leave that screen. So have that pulled up, or not have it off to the side. So I'll let you know if we need to be out of the trade. So I'm going to share out to you the simple moving averages screen. So what are simple moving averages? Basically, you'll hear like a 20-day, a 50-day, and then a 200-day. So the 20-day, you think those are weird numbers. Why wouldn't they line them up with the calendar? Well, they do. And it's because there's 20 trading days in a month. So, excuse me. So when you think of 20-day, you can kind of think 1 month. When you think 50-day, that's a pretty much 1 quarter. And then you think 200-day, and that's pretty much the number of trading days in the year. So that's why those kind of odd numbers are selected. You tend to see those three on a chart, right? So it's a monthly, quarterly, and an annual. And we'll go back and look at Ambarella here in a minute for examples of that. These are usually SMA, so simple moving averages. You can get into your statistics and get into more advanced stuff, but simple is really all you need. And I'll show you how you use it when you look at a chart. So you can have either an uptrend or a downtrend or a sideways trend. And there's also several crosses out there that are defined that I won't go into, but they are considered market moving when the 20-day crosses the 200-day, either up or down, right? So that means the monthly either up, if it's going up, that means the monthly is now starting to show a short-term uptrend while the stock is still in a long-term downtrend. Or if you have the other way, where the 20-day moving average is above the 200 and it breaks below it, that means in the short term, they're starting to the beginning of a downtrend while the stock's still in a long-term uptrend. So a lot of people trade off of this. I do not use it with our system. Here's an example of Google and kind of showing you that simple moving average, trying to pull off of here. This is the 50-day. So you can see right here, if you can see my cursor in the upper left. So that's a 3-month moving average. Basically tells you when you get down here at the bottom at 47.50, where it is, right now, obviously it's not today's chart, it's back from 2008. But when you look, a lot of people say, oh, it's in an uptrend. Well, when you look at the chart, it's still significantly in a downtrend. So just because we've had a nice little up tail here of 15 to 20 days, that does not mean that it's broken, its downtrend. Now, if it crosses the 50-day moving average, that means the 50-day moving average is going to start to flatten out and then increase. So that's where you can kind of use these as predictors. I don't put a tremendous amount of stock into them, but I know others do. So that's why I bring it up. So here on this example for USO, they have a 15-day moving average. So you can kind of see that's holding pretty tight to the overall candlestick line out there, where the 50 is obviously not nearly as affected. So again, the larger the time frame, the less impact every single day will have on the overall chart. It does, down here at the end, it talks about it does kind of set some support and resistance lines. I don't use those, but again, they are there. So let's take a look at Ambarella. We're still in our trade. So it's bouncing between 147 and 148. So when you look at Ambarella and you look at the code here, so the pinkish / purplish is the 20-day. So that's up here, at around 60. So you've been above the 20-day for, what is that? Almost 2 months now. When you look at the 50-day, that's the orange. That one's a little easier to see. Again, the orange, the 20 and the 50-day are in an uptrend. But when you look at the 200-day, which again is over the past year, it's still really in a downtrend. So you're going to look, it'll take some time for that to flatten out and then actually bring the 200-day higher. So when you have a stock trading above all three moving averages, you could assume that the next move is down. That's not always the case, but it's certainly trying to drag the trend lines up with it. Okay. All right. Go back to our chart one more time, share you back over to TD Ameritrade, then let you go on the day. So here's where we are. So what to do with this trade? Keep that 145 in there. If you want to kill it because the market's starting to struggle, I don't have a problem killing a trade like this, especially if you have like 10,000 shares and you're within 2 cents of your stop. Otherwise, just leave the stop in there and take the ride. Again, if this starts to break higher over the day because the market continues higher, this is one I would hold all the way until the close and then come back 5 minutes prior to the close and exit out. If you want to use a trailing stop, I don't generally use trailing stops, but this is not a stock that is flopping all over the place. So if you use a trailing stop of like 2 cents, that means anytime on the march higher that it backs up 2 cents, then you would be back out of it. So that's a way to, if it starts breaking higher above where we bought it at 150, you could use that trailing stop to ensure that you get out without losing money. All right, interesting story before I let you go. Remember, this was up at 14%. Look at the hard sell-off in NIU here. That is kind of crazy. So that's a 10% move here in the past, 10 minutes. So that's why even though this trade would have worked, that's why you exit the trade, you take your gains, and then that looks like some headline stuff out there that is going on in NIU to move it that much. So, all right, that's what I have for you. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Remember, Wednesday is a full day in the market tomorrow, and then Thursday is off, and then Friday is a half day. So with that, I'm gonna let you guys go, and we will catch you guys tomorrow. Bye.